Hey everyone, welcome to Artist Decoded. I'm your host Yoshino. Right now it is 2:04 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm in California and it is Saturday, December 17th. And today I have been thinking about the power of observation, your personal tool, if you will, your personal power. And it's something that is unique within you based off of your experiences and the things that you have encountered, the people in your life, the things that you observe on a daily basis. And it can be very simple. It can be so simple as just getting enveloped in the sensation of looking at a crack in the street, which sounds ridiculous, but there's grooves to that crack. There are little tidbits of information that can be seen in that crack. And, I mean, as an example, but there's all sorts of things that you can observe every day that can give you a perspective on life. You know, it could be an observation, observing the way that someone talks, the way that they use subtext, and thinking about what's behind the thing that someone is saying. You know, is this person being honest with me? Is this person trying to hide something from me? And I think that all of these little details, if we pay attention to them, can really give us a perspective. And to me, I think it's a little bit ridiculous and kind of a cop-out when people say, you know, I don't have any inspiration or I'm not inspired by something. And don't get me wrong, I've said it too. So I'm calling myself out as well. But it is a bit of a cop-out because there's so many things that you can encounter on a daily basis that can lead to inspiration. It could be as easy as walking down the street or going on a hike, for instance. You know, when I was living in Los Angeles, I would go a lot to Griffith Park and I would go on a hike with friends. And it was really interesting just observing people and observing the way people treat their dog, for instance, or the way that people treat their partners or the different conversations that you overhear. And I think it's really interesting the way that the human brain works because you can always observe body language and, you know, you can tell, I don't know how far away, but, you know, quite a distance away if a couple is having a conversation, and if they're fighting, you can immediately tell that based on their body language, if they're closing their arms over each other, if they're facing away from each other. Obviously, if they're yelling at each other, then that would probably, I would assume, indicate some sort of fight. When I was also living in Los Angeles, I would take a lot of images on the street, whether it was just going on a walk or running, of a lot of trash or things that you would assume to be trash. But to me, it speaks a lot about expendability and consumerism. The little McDonald's fry container that's on the ground and run over by someone's tire, for instance, or the discarded videotapes or DVDs or a lot of various trash that you find on the ground. And I also found it really interesting with street photography, for instance, seeing different wheat pastes of advertisements for movies or for bands. You would see that a lot in the streets of Los Angeles. And the way that things get discarded, so those wheat paste posters they would, I don't know who would be hired to take them down or to put them up, but sometimes there would be like half a face that was there and it was ripped off from, it was ripped in half, and there was another face that was behind it, which created an interesting artistic collage, a poem without words, if you will. And I think that these observations will build over time into something tangible, and we can capture those things with cameras, or with a painting, or all these things which create a very interesting perspective over the course of time. And I believe that it is the artist's duty to be able to see what is surrounding us and to make our observations from that, and to be able to try to find some sort of meaning out of that. And I've said this before, maybe on a podcast, but I believe that our hearts all beat for something. And I know that sounds very romantic, but what I mean by that is that we all have certain interests in something, whether it be a preservation for the environment and social political ecology, or it could be music, someone that really is interested in music, or someone that is interested in photography or politics and wants to speak about politics, for instance, within their artwork. But I believe that our hearts all beat for something, and that really can only be sussed out through our observations and through digging and being honest with ourselves about what we're interested in. And I think that can come more naturally for some people over time, but I think it really helps us to be honest with ourselves in general. And I know that I've talked about that a lot in past episodes, but I really do believe that that is the path of enlightenment, if you will, is that honesty and is following those instincts. To be able to get a little closer to that Daemon, that higher version of yourself. And that is the power that you have being an artist, I think, at least in the United States, art is not highly supported, by the government, for instance, unlike other countries. And if you're listening to this from another country that has that creative support, that's amazing. I wish I probably should move over there. But, that is the power that you have as an artist, to build that perspective, to utilize your observations as a tool. And yeah, I'll leave you with that. And I'm curious what people think about these little solo episodes. Feel free to DM me on Instagram if you'd like to, at Yoshino Studios or at Artist Decoded. I generally will check my Yoshino Studios one more often. Or you can email me at info@artistdecoded.com. And yeah, I want to see if these things are helpful for people, or if I could do them in a bit of a different way, or if I can speak on subjects that would be more helpful for people. So yeah, feedback is always great. Wishing you all a great weekend and a great time over the holidays if you don't hear from me again. I mean, I think I'm going to be doing a couple more of these, at least one more before the year ends. And yeah, so thank you all for your support. I really do appreciate it. And stay Stay tuned for more. Talk to you later.